Welcome to Red Zone DFS NFL Week 2. Vin, Jim, how you feeling this week? Is it time to take down the Millie?
Maybe not the Millie, but
get it early. Get that bankroll up.
I feel good about this week. I feel better about this week than I did last week. Hopefully my lineups reflect that. But Jim, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this week is going to be. I think we know a little bit more this week. I mean, a lot of the things so tough now, especially with only 3 games where you're just assuming so much of like what's going to happen and like, oh yeah, this guy's for sure going to get these reps and that and all this other stuff. And then, week 1 comes and it just
the preseason hype machine and all that mixes in.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunity. Oddly enough, I mean, the pricing really didn't adjust that much.
I love it.
But I think that there's some good matchups this week. There's a bunch of like really lopsided matchups as I was going through it. And there's quite a few matchups where both teams' defenses isn't very good. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Going to be a pretty good week.
I think they did a pretty good job of pricing too. Like, there's a few guys that if you're going to play, it's going to adjust and make you adjust your entire lineup to get them in and have a fairly decent lineup overall. So, yeah, I'm excited. This should be a good week.
Yeah, and I think last week there was so much random stuff that happened that's going to get people to flock over to those people that are really cheap and possibly they do absolutely nothing this week and might not even be on the field. Right, yep. Just those week 1 flukes where coaches are trying to ease their players into the season. Their superstars are getting 50% of the touches. That stuff's going to change this week, especially as we get some division games as well.
Yeah, so much variance week to week. I think we saw it a little bit tonight with Mike Williams, right?
And
everyone was like, oh man, like only 2 targets, blah blah blah. It's like, well, look what happened in the second half. Mike Williams barely even touched the ball because Kansas City adjusted their defense, right? Why they didn't do that out of the gates, I don't know. But I think that there's a lot of stuff like that where there's some studs that really didn't do much last week that people are going to go away from.
Yep.
And they're going to wish that they did not.
Yeah, I think the big important thing is, you want to adjust to what we saw, but not overcorrect so much like a lot of people will do. And,
correct.
It should make this week really fun. So I'm excited.
All right, well, let's get to it. It's quarterback time. Starting off at the top, Jimmy, I'm going to let you lead this one off.
Well, I mean, I think I'm going to plug myself in right along with Russ. And
let's ride.
The electrocution man.
That's right.
Can't believe you're gonna play that phony.
Well,
as soon as I heard he electrocuted himself, I definitely got on his side a little bit.
I'm all in. If this guy's legitimately plugging himself in and throwing electric current through his body before the game or after the game, whatever it matters, they're playing the Houston Texans. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people are going to look at the score. They don't look at the actual stats that were given up. The Texans gave up over 500 yards of offense last week and somehow still pulled the kissing your sister tie out with the Colts. That's borderline inexcusable.
Most overrated team in the league, the Colts.
I mean, is that a near fireable offense, by the way?
Well,
I mean, they lose the play-in game to the Jags at the end of the year last year and then tie the Colts after
Colts
having the whole offseason to prepare?
They've lost 8 openers in a row, the Colts.
So you like Russ in a bounce back here.
So, I mean, Russ did fine points-wise the other night.
And on top of that, I mean, you're going to get it. He doesn't have to be in Seattle Stadium with the decibels going through the roof every time he's on the field.
Yeah.
Right. Houston Stadium is like half filled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to have a big week.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that of the top guys, he presents the most, in my mind, the most upside. Houston, their defense is just not very good. I looked at it again. I watched that tape a little bit this week so far, and they just don't look very good. So Russ is my guy if I'm going to pay up this week.
Yeah, he's definitely got that 30-point potential, and you're going to need 30 points and being above 7K.
Yep.
I like it, man. I think it's a great spot. He's the only person I'm paying up for as well. But as we're going down, unless Vinny is going on Lamar, Kyler, do you have a take for them?
I'll have a little bit of Lamar. I have him in there just because I think that game has some sneaky shootout potential. I don't think those defenses are as good as people think. Baltimore played the Jets last week. Miami played pitiful New England. I think that game's got some sneaky shootouts. So I will have some Lamar shares for sure, but it's not my favorite on the slate.
All right.
We're cruising down the board. Joe, who's your guy?
Yeah, I think it's all of our favorites, and it's Joe Burrow, right? Like the Bengals offense has not changed a bit, right? Yeah. He had all his turnovers and definitely some adrenaline going against a really stingy Steelers defense, and still almost got them there to the win. He gets to go against Dallas this week. That is absolutely lost. I think Cooper Rush is going to have some turnovers. Burrow's going to get some favorable field positions on top of that, and Burrow's still going to throw the ball 40-plus times at minimum, right? Yeah. And if Dallas can somehow keep this game somewhat decently close, Burrow's going to throw over 50 passes.
Yep.
Right. So Burrow's an easy plug and play. He only needs 26 points to get us to 4X. I mean, it's an easy one.
Yeah, I love his weapons. I mean, obviously it's going to shift here the next few days, but right now, I mean, Jamar Chase is coming in pretty low owned. T. Higgins should play. He's coming in at a pretty reasonable ownership and price, and same with Mixon, which we'll touch on. But I just think this team is like wildly undervalued right now. They should blow the doors off Dallas this week. So I'm right there with you. I think it's my favorite stack of the weekend.
Love it.
All right. Moving down, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, in that area, don't love a lot of people in this area. The one guy I do have some interest in, and I think in kind of like a get right spot where their offense could kind of explode, it would be a Matt Stafford against Atlanta. Atlanta is really, really bad. I don't care if they played the Saints well. That's more of an indictment against the Saints, in my opinion, than it is against Atlanta. I haven't really made my decision, but in the 6,000 range, if I had to pick a guy outside of Burrow, it would be Stafford for me.
Interesting.
I would definitely. I'm going to argue against that for a second, just because I think the Rams' offensive line is gone. I think they're going to struggle all year. I think Stafford's arm is not 100% healthy with that offensive line. I mean, Cup's still going to get all of his play. I just don't think that Rams offense is what it's been the last 3 or 4 years that we've seen.
Fair enough.
I also think I was on Stafford, and the only reason I'm not on him right now is I think you could just play Cup.
Yeah, that's the other argument for that. It's like if you just want to play Cup, then you can do that, right?
You just get so much exposure to that whole offense through Cup. His target share and everything is so much. Stafford's not a bad play, and it's not a huge problem because he's not that expensive. But you can just play Cup,
Yeah, I agree.
It's not like it's funny that the Bills were bracketing Allen Robinson, but the reason is because you can't bracket Cooper Kupp.
His route tree, stopping this guy.
Well, his route tree doesn't ever get to a safety, right? So
he's never
Kupp. He's going to be in solo coverage every time.
Dude, he's never covered. It's unbelievable. It really is.
He gets himself open. Yeah, so I think Kupp's the play with the Rams. I'm avoiding Stafford. For him to get up to like that 25-point range, he's got to put up a hell of a game, and I just don't see he has it in him.
But one guy below that I think does have it in him. He reeled me back in this week is the madman himself, Mr. Carson Wentz.
I thought you were going Derek Carr.
No, I'm not playing Carr. Actually, I have him on here, but I'm not playing him because I think he's similar. Like I do think he's got a little bit more weapons, but you could just play Devontae Adams if you're going to play Carr.
Going back to Wentz, huh?
Dude, I love. It's the same reason you could win by playing Jameis. No. I'm saying I love the aspect of he is erratic.
He's white.
This game is going to be a little bit. I think this game is going to be a little bit ugly, but he's actually got weapons in Washington. Detroit's gonna fight. This game's got, I think, the second highest over/under on the slate at 48.5 right now.
If there's one thing we've learned about Wentz is he's gonna go for it. right? Like he's going to go full send all the time, even when he should like give it to his running back. Like he'll check the play on the 1 yard line so he gets the touchdown on a quarterback sneak. There's one thing I've learned about Wentz is he's always going to try to take it for himself, and he's actually got some weapons in Washington. And I feel like it's the island of misfit toys over there, right, with the potatoes, and he fits right in.
I just don't think Detroit's like they play hard, but like they're still not very good, you know. When we saw Philly take it to him last week, like I don't see any reason why Washington can't put up points. And again, they're going to fight. Like they're going to keep Washington's not going to blow these guys out, right? So like we're going to see 4 quarters, probably like some wild football in Detroit. So yeah, give me the Motor City Madman, Carson Wentz.
Man,
I'm all in on Wentz, dude. I think he easily is going to be one of those guys this year. Oh, for fantasy football, for DFS, absolutely. Like for winning football games and taking me to a championship, no.
I think this
DFS,
week he's a good play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a bad matchup, you don't want that. But I mean, this game is going to possibly shoot out and get to a weird spot, just like the Philly game did. So I like Wentz.
You just can't. He's just like Jameis. You just can't like stop him. Like there is no putting cuffs on that guy. So he's going to keep throwing, and yeah, his weapons are cheap. Like I think he's in a pretty good spot here. So I'm
I like
right.
it.
Ride or die.
I'm going to go back up above your guys too. I really like Brady this week. That offense did look great until they got into the red zone, right? That's probably more of him missing like 3 weeks of training camp because of whatever. It's probably on that Masked Singer show everyone's talking about. But like you said earlier, Jim, the Saints, it's more of an indictment on the Saints and what the Falcons did to them last week. I think Brady tears them up, and Julio Jones is one of my favorite plays this week at receiver. He looked fucking great. All Brady has to do is convert those to touchdowns, and he's easily a 30-point guy, right? We're looking for that 300-yard game with 3 to 4 touchdowns from Brady, and I think this is the week he does it, going into New Orleans. I think people are going to look past it because everyone's on Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette's ownership is so damn high, and everyone thinks it's going to be his game, but Brady's the guy on the 3-yard line that's going to throw the touchdown, the slant pass, or the fade to Evans, you know?
He's someone I'm debating on, and I'm just a little bit unsure. Like, the Saints have his number a little bit. I think he's lost the last 4 games versus New Orleans. So
see, that makes me like Brady even more, to be honest.
I'm with you. Like, I have them as one of my games. I told you guys that, like, I have a ton of interest in. I'm just not stacking it from a quarterback perspective as of right now. But
okay.
I mean, there's weapons on both sides of this game. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, it could pop off, no doubt. So I don't mind.
But it can also be one of those games where the defenses both beat the shit out of each other, and the final is 17-10, right? Like I can see that as well. So I'm not leveraging Brady and having like 70% of lineups, but I'm definitely going to have him a few.
Yeah, Jim. Anyone in
Jim
this
going
like
down in the whole 5K range,
way down.
The 5 hole.
There's 2 guys I like in the low 5s.
All right, go.
Do you want me to say both of them?
Go for it. Take the guys you like.
Number 1 is going to be Davis Mills. I don't know why he's $5,200. I don't know why he's cheaper than Trevor Lawrence, and why he's cheaper than Jacoby Brissett. But I mean, they're going to have to throw the ball. We saw Geno Smith have a good game against the Broncos defense. Apparently the Broncos defense losing Vic Fangio, they lost a lot more than we thought. And I like the people to pair Davis Mills with. And then I also think that Daniel Jones is a guy that you can just keep playing every single week. Because at 5,100, I mean, he's basically just free. He's just going to get you a guaranteed 15. I mean, I think his floor is probably somewhere around the 18 to 20 point range.
Who are you pairing him with?
I'm pairing him with, I think you can either pair him with just Saquon or you can do Saquon and Tony.
But like Tony barely played last week.
Doesn't matter. He's the guy. Then if you're unsure,
trust me, I know because I played Tony and I didn't win a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. Again, we just have to look at the snap share. If you wanted to get a third person in with them, I think Richie James got a ton of targets and he's 30. Richie James is 3,200. So you could really
Richie James train for like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, you could really realistically play him with Daniel Jones. But he's so cheap that, like, even if you just wanted to play, you just needed a cheap quarterback to just throw in there and kind of play by himself. I think you could definitely do that. My favorite play is playing him with Saquon Barkley, who did not get enough of a price increase this week. So that's really going to be what I'm looking at. I personally have a lineup already that is Daniel Jones with Saquon Barkley and Richie James. So,
all right.
Yeah, I think Dayball is a great coach and a great
100%.
quarterback coach, right? And it's obvious. Daniel Jones went 17 of 20 last week. Like, that's just incredibly efficient, keeping his quarterback safe, doing safe plays, using Saquon to protect Daniel Jones as well. I mean, he's a good coach. I think that 5K thing, he's not going to be 5K for too long. He's going to be up at 5,800, 6K very soon.
At least.
Joe,
should be.
Is there anyone in the Marshalls bargain bin that you like down here in the 5s?
I mean, I don't really call it the bargain bin, but it's right below Wentz, and it's Trey Lance. I think people are going to be hyped on Seattle's defense after what happened last week. But again, I think a lot of that is the energy of that game, the energy of the crowd. They're not going to get any of that going into San Francisco. I think San Francisco's defense just dominates Seattle this week after an embarrassing loss last week. I think Lance is going to have a lot of opportunities, and he's going to want to make some plays after people are already talking right after week one and overreacting really quickly. I think Lance can put up a huge game here against a Seattle team that I think people are way too high on after that game against Russ.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it, not me. I'm with you. I think the weather will be a little bit better. It's actually projecting to get a little bit of rain on Sunday,
it's
but
California rain though.
It won't be like Chicago last week. So
yeah, California rain, like, it's nothing.
All right. I'm going to go to my two just sneaky plays. They're gross. I don't love them, but what the hell? Let's do it. I am going to be playing a little bit of Trevor Lawrence on Sunday. I think the Colts are just wildly overrated. Without Leonard on that defense, they don't really have too much of a pass rush. He's 5,300. I love the fact he threw it 42 times last week and almost went for 300. If he can pop a few of those into the end zone, like all of a sudden he goes from, 16, 17 points on the day to 25, right? So I think Lawrence is a really sneaky play. I just think this Colts team is a little bit overrated. Should be a good game. We saw him beat him last year at the end and knock him out of the playoffs. Like, I have some interest here in T-Law.
So the one thing I'll say about that, Vinny, is the same thing you said about Stafford. You can just play Christian Kirk and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think the only, at least how I'm looking at it, is like it's just you're saving over $1,000 to do it. Like, he's cheap. He's 5,300, right? So yeah, it's similar to, like, in my opinion, like the Davis Mills thing. Like, they don't really have a running game. I know they have running backs, but they don't have a running game. He threw it 42 times last week.
Yeah, I would rather. I might even rather play Mitch Trubisky at 5,000.
So the other guy that I think I have more interest in. He's one of my favorite plays of the week. So feel free to make fun of me on Monday or not, but I'm going to be playing a fair amount of Marcus Mariota on Sunday. He went for almost 20 points on Sunday versus the Saints, who I think have a much better defense than the Rams. I think he's got very clear stacking options with Cordell and Pitts. And they should, for the same reasons we talked about, they should be trailing and huffing and running and gunning. And Marcus gives you that running upside. I just think the Rams, like, their defense is not quite as good. Their star power is there, right? But they're definitely not the Bills. But I think we saw the Falcons, like, they're going to fight this year. They're not that bad. You know what I mean? Their defense is terrible, but that's good.
The Falcons are going to be like a 5-win team. They're not this 1-win, like, first overall pick team, meaning they're going to be in some games.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, they're trailing. Like, good. I hope they're trailing. Like, I want Marcus Mariota winging it for 4 quarters. Like, let's go.
I don't hate that. I just don't think he has a high of a ceiling as somebody like,
what I love about
like
the most,
Mills,
he rushed for 75 yards and a touchdown last week.
Yeah, like, that's the appealing.
You know what I mean?
And to me, I think I think of him and Daniel Jones a lot of the same.
Very similar. Yeah.
And I'm just saving $500 to get Daniel Jones.
You're saving $500. I just think, for me at least, how I look at it is like I have very clear stacking options with Marcus, and I can easily go like we talked about. You know what I was saying to you about Stafford. How I'm looking at the slate is like I'll go Mariota, Cordell, Pitts, and I'm just bringing it back with Cup, and I'm getting like, in my opinion, what I think will be like 80% of the targets in that game is going to those three guys. You know, so
fair enough.
That's how I'm looking at it. It may be gross, it may be terrible, and LA boat racism, but let's ride.
Gross. It's terrible.
Yeah, let's ride.
All right, let's ride on to running backs.
Let's plug in.
Vinny, you're leading this one off.
Whew. I'm going back to McCaffrey. We saw that idiot Dayball McAdoo with his bowl cut haircut speak out today that we got to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. It's like, what a genius idea, dude.
Thanks, bud.
He has 13 touches. I am pretty confident we'll get eclipsed this week. So I'm going to go back to him. I think Carolina found out the hard way that you do not win games relying on Baker Mayfield. And the same thing holds. Like this staff and everybody's on the hot seat there. He's expensive, but he's a discount from Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to be kind of forgotten there, in that spot. Like everyone's going to go to Saquon and below, or they'll go all the way up thinking JT goes off, right? So I think people are, Jim, you said at the very beginning, I think people are going to overreact to week one here, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we can get McCaffrey at a nice little discount. That would be very sweet for me. So.
All right.
No, it's a good play. 9K, we're looking for 36 points out of McCaffrey. And if he gets his inflated volume with a couple touchdowns and a lot of catches, it's more than doable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe or Jim?
I'll let Joe go because I have a hot take of what I'm going to do with running backs this week.
Hey-o.
Okay. First off, I just want to start out by saying not fuck Alvin Kamara, but fuck the Saints. Just nobody mentioned his rib injury. And it was like, oh, he's got 40% of the snap share. Yeah, he's been dealing with a rib injury all week. Fuck you, Saints. Fuck
Thanks for letting us know, guys.
And over again. So
the Twitter is not too thrilled with that.
Right? You got like Taysom Hill going there. They're just trying to give the ball to everyone that's not Alvin Kamara. Right? Yeah. This is the Saints way. I thought things were going to change. I said it on the pod last week. Nothing's changed. I'm done with Kamara. I'm about to trade him off of my year-long leagues, everything. So moving down, one of my favorite plays this week is Javonte Williams for Denver against Houston. I do think that they just absolutely obliterate the Texans this week. People are going to be hyped on that. Like, oh, look, Houston shut down Jonathan Taylor. No. Javonte Williams, there's something about him when he runs the ball. Dude,
he's the best back there.
He attacks when he runs the ball. Like, nobody can tackle him. He doesn't go on his back. He doesn't even fall on his side, right? He punishes as a runner. And when they're up, I can see Javonte getting a ton of carries.
What about
and having a huge game?
Not only that, receptions.
Mm-hmm.
And receptions. Obviously, Russ likes throwing to running backs now.
Russ loves the little dumps. He loves those little dump
Hopefully Javonte bought some stuff off of Russ's like Shopify store this week and bought a few more touches on offense.
But... I'm sure he did.
So Javonte is literally my top running back this week at 6,500. Not only is he a steal, but he's legitimately my top running back on points this week as well.
Yeah,
right.
I like that quite a bit.
Jim, are you going back up? Or
yeah.
No?
So
okay,
I'm gonna play multiple lineups with Saquon, McCaffrey, and Jonathan Taylor in them.
Oh wow,
it's easily doable. It is very, very easily doable.
Right.
You put Daniel Jones in that lineup. There's some other very cheap options. You can do it very easily. And if you want to flex around a little bit, you can remove Jonathan Taylor and put Javonte Williams in and save yourself almost, $3,400.
Yeah.
Right. And then that allows you basically to do whatever you want. But Williams, Barkley, McCaffrey, and Taylor are going to make up probably about 85% of the lineups that are out there for me.
Heyo.
So I don't, and Barkley's going to be highly owned. I don't care. He's basically that, and I'm going to continue to play him until he gets hurt because that's their offense.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about finding clear stacking options with Daniel Jones. Well, that's it, Vinny. You only
makes
need
sense.
one. You just need one, right? And in my mind, the type of market share that he has in that offense, I don't know why he didn't get a bigger price bump, especially after the performance that he had last week. Jonathan Taylor had a mediocre performance against Houston and got like a $2,000 price hike.
Totally.
Right? Up to almost $10,000. So, that's kind of the way I'm going to approach it. Are there some other guys in there right below Saquon, Mixon? I've got some interest in.
Yeah.
But really, other than that, like Joey said, I'm not really feeling the Fournette thing this week. If he goes off, that's fine. But
he was limited in practice today too, which doesn't say too much. But he is dealing with something.
I mean, he is.
It's not just that, man.
I mean, he doesn't practice a whole lot.
I do have some serious respect for the Saints front seven. Like, I'm not going to attack that. If Fournette beats me and beats that front seven, then so be it.
Then that's fine, right? You're just going to live with that. That's the position I'm taking. It worked out for me with Derrick Henry last week.
Mm-hmm.
Fournette's going to be a guy that I'm just full fading this week.
Totally. You touched on Mixon. I have a lot of interest in him. One guy that I'm going to be playing in this range that no one is going to be playing. He will be sub 5%, maybe sub 3%, and that's Nick Chubb. He gets a really bad Jets team, and the Browns are just going to pound the ball. Like, that's what they're going to do. They are going to run the football and try to survive this Jacoby Brissett wave. Nick Chubb had 22 carries for 140 yards last week against Carolina. I know Kareem Hunt is there lingering, but he out-touched him 2-1 on the ground. I know Hunt stole a touchdown and he, stole some of the receiving, but what we're talking about with tournaments, like if Nick Chubb punches one or two of those in, like Nick Chubb might be the highest scoring player on the slate. You know what I mean? Like he's got that kind of upside. And I just think it's hard to ignore that. You know what I mean?
But one thing I'm going to start looking at is the Thursday night matchup of next week. Because Eckler in week 1 did not get the timeshare that we wanted because they were playing the Chiefs in division game on the Thursday. Mm-hmm. Cleveland is playing Pittsburgh on Thursday next week. I am terrified that they're going to go true split and even put in more of Johnson, the third running back, to get carries, especially if they're up winning it all. Right. That's what kind of scares me with the Cleveland game because they're going against the Steelers on Thursday. These coaches, man, it's hard to predict what they're going to do, but it seems to be pretty obvious when they have a short week that they rest their running backs.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't think Cleveland has that luxury to get cute. Like they have to win as many games as possible before they think Deshaun comes back and they can
we're also talking the Jets. We're talking
the Jets.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he could do insane damage. If he breaks off a huge runs in the first half, like he could be right up there as one of the top running back scorers of like only getting 20 touches. You know what I mean?
The Jets' run defense was solid last week, right? They gave up 3 big passes from Lamar. I like Chubb. Okay. I love him. But I'm scares me with Kareem, and it scares me that the Jets' defense is actually very run-heavy present.
I'm just saying for a 3% banger there, like it's just something not to overlook. Like he's a guy that could tilt the slate, or not necessarily tilt the slate. He's a guy that could absolutely propel you like in a major way at low ownership. He's got that upside. So
he has that upside.
I mean, he does, but again, they've got that division game and they play such a slow pace that he just doesn't get that many plays. I mean, that's the biggest issue for me.
They always do that, and he still went 22 for 140 last week with no touchdowns.
But for $600 less, I would much rather play Javonte.
I mean, we're talking about splits there. Like he legit's in a split with freaking Melvin, and if Melvin snipes any of those touchdowns, like Javonte's a good day, but like not a great day. They're kind of in the same situation. So I hear you. Like $600 cheaper, but
yeah.
So Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. But
okay,
going down,
my next guy, I'm not going to have a huge share of him, but I'm going to play a little bit of him again, and it's Najee Harris, 6,200. The Steelers tried to run their offense without Najee on Sunday, and just look what happened. They were like, "Okay, Mitch, we're going to let you run this entire offense the way you want to." Najee got the ball. He had 12 touches last week. It was bad. And look what happened. And look what happened to that offense. It was one of the most atrocious offenses in the NFL last week. If they're smart, which I'm doubting, but they're going to give the ball to Najee a hell of a lot more if they want a chance to win ever.
So again, he's dealing with this weird foot injury,
but he's not even on the injury report.
I know he's off now, but there's just other places that I would rather go. If he re-aggravates that after the first quarter or something weird, I mean, they said he was walking in a boot after the game. And now he's just magically fine?
He said it right after the game. He's like, I'm playing next week. He knew it wasn't a big deal.
That's fine, but like, if he's going to be constantly like dealing with some foot injury all year, I get where you're coming from, but that's just a guy that, like, I would rather just play Antonio Gibson for the same exact price against the fucking Lions.
Totally.
See, Antonio Gibson, I'm just a little scared about because there's so many goddamn weapons in Washington now all of a sudden.
But here's
going to give it to everybody.
So here's my problem with Najee. One, I think like they're not very good, but Belichick can stop a one-trick pony, and that's what Pittsburgh is. Like Mitch Trubisky fucking sucks, and like if Najee's not going to get the receiving work, he's downgraded in a major way.
It's the same. So it's the same principle for me as me fading Henry last week, as fading him this week. You have a coach that doesn't have a very good team that's still trying to win games. Okay. What he's going to do, he's going to take away your best possible, and this is the best guy to do it, your best possible asset, and make Mitch Trubisky and the traveling circus around him try and beat you.
Totally.
Right? So that's for me. I get where you're coming at. He's the only guy there. He'll get all the volume. But Derrick Henry also got all the volume last week and put up, 9 points.
Yeah, you guys are right there for sure.
So
no, it's a good argument. Can't wait to see.
Jim, you kind of touched on Antonio Gibson. I have some interest in him. But right below him, I mean, you guys always beat the drum for him. I've been late coming around, so I hope I don't jinx it. But I'm gonna be on Cordell this week.
Oh, man,
crossing off my list right now.
I'm sorry to ruin the run that you guys had, but dude, he's just it's undeniable at this point, like how much of a focal point of that offense he is. It's freaking insane.
Yeah.
The only thing that scares me a little bit this week is they only activated one running back behind him last week, and he injured himself. And that's why Cordarrelle got all of those touches. Now, do they activate Algiers? Is what's his name? The dude from, oh my God, I can't think of his name. The other running back that's from the Chiefs, Williams, of the Williams.
Sucks.
So
Damian Williams.
So Damian Williams is one that got hurt last week early in the game, and that's why Cordarrelle got such a run, right?
But he always seems to find his way into the game flow.
I agree with you, and I think he's going low owned again this week.
Yeah, he's at 4% ownership right now. Yeah. It's like every time I Red Zone channel pitch over to that game, because Atlanta's usually losing, it's like Cordell run, Cordell swing pass, Cordell outbound.
Cordell throws the ball,
dude. Well, dude, he's their guy.
It's unbelievable. Right? He's a badass. Yep. So anyone around that range or below you guys are on. I have one kind of gross play that I'm thinking about, but I really don't want to do it.
I got two down low that I love.
I'm going back to Travis Etienne. He just
Joey and I were talking about before
dropped 2 touchdowns, right? Yeah. So everyone is going to look at what he did last week. Same price, 5,600. It's a fair price, and they're just going to go, oh well, he didn't do shit last week, and it's like, well, actually, he was on the verge of having a 25-point game. But he dropped 2 touchdowns.
Super freaking explosive,
and that's the thing. Too. If he catches those touchdowns, then Robinson doesn't get any play.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not gonna go away from him. He's an integral part of their offense. They have Kirk and they have him, and those are their 2 most explosive players. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, they've got James Robinson, who's fine, Zay Jones, who, whatever, and Marvin Jones Jr., who's old as shit. And I love Marvin Jones, but he definitely doesn't look
looks a little dusty
like
out there.
He looks a little dusty. So like those guys, to Vinny's point, for if you're looking for guys to stack, I mean that's an easy double stack with Lawrence right there. So at 5,600, I'm much more interested in playing Travis Etienne this week, and then I mean I don't know if Dobbins plays,
yes,
at 5,300, like I was looking when I started looking at everything, I was like, well, is this right? Is this they fuck something up here, or like what's going on?
Nope. I'm with you. I love Dobbins.
I'm there.
If he's healthy, he's getting all their carries.
There's no way they're playing him if he's not ready to go. Like
Correct.
he may not be in game shape, but
they said he was game time decision this week. They just said play it safe because they were playing the Jets.
Yeah, he practiced in full Wednesday and Thursday. So
he's good to go. I got a lot of interest there. Miami's front seven looks pretty damn good. So I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to have a ton of interest, but I've got a couple other guys down here. Michael Carter's interesting.
Okay, good. I have him too. I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy.
I mean, he's their passing down back, right? And we talk about Flacco just is going to check it down. I mean, he had 17 points last week, So,
insane.
I mean, I'd gladly take another 17-pointer this week at 5,200. And then you've got Chase Edmonds, who's the clear starter in Miami, who, again, I don't know. I guess the pricing algorithm just completely missed that. But, I mean, you're looking at a guy for 5,200 that has 25-point upside. So it's like, I don't know how much of these guys I'm going to have.
I'll sprinkle.
I would rather just go for the guys that I was talking about. But,
I think Dobbins is the most clear guy, in my opinion. Because, you talked about the Jets kind of shut him down last week. Dude, that running game was non-existent for Baltimore. So, if he's healthy, he's finally a guy for him. Joe, do you have anybody? Because I don't below that.
Yeah, someone that I'm getting a little sneaky on. It's Nyheim Hines at 5,300. So, obviously, he's not going to get a lot of carries. We know that. But he had 6 targets, 6 catches for 50 yards last week. He's going to play in the slot a lot. They've been very clear about that. Obviously, Matt Ryan does not trust his receivers outside of Michael Pittman there. He threw it to my boy, Alec Pierce. He dropped 2 touctouchdowns. I called the 2 touchdowns from Alec Pierce, and he legitimately dropped 2 touchdowns.
I can't believe he almost hit on
that. He's done. He's dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, and he's in the concussion protocol, so he might not even play this week. So I think Nyheim Hines gets a lot of play this week in the passing game. Going against a Jacksonville team, I think this game's going to get a little gritty. I think Nyheim Hines, as long as he can punch in that 1 touchdown, we're in business. Because I think he's going to get the volume with targets. And then, hey, there's always potential Jonathan Taylor goes down, and he's our guy, right?
Yeah, that's
wishful thinking. But
at some point this year, Nyheim Hines is going to have 1 to 3 of those
monster
20 to 30 point games where he gets 9 catches for 110 yards, and then also has 1 or 2 touchdowns, right? That's going to happen. So look, I really can't fault you for it. Below that,
you got to take your shots, right?
I've got nobody else.
Sure. Yeah. All right. One-off receivers. Let's fire them off.
I'll go first because
let's hear it.
The number 1, it's Jamar Chase. 8K is ridiculously low for him. 32 points to get 4X. I mean, he got 28 points last week in a game where the Steelers were manhandling the Bengals. Yep. They get to go against the Cowboys. He gets to go against Diggs, which Diggs is Mr. Route Jumper. Dude, Vinny, you said this last week. Jamar Chase is going to double move him all day. I think Chase just goes on one of those games where he explodes. 40-plus point potential.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's my favorite play of the week.
Those 2 right there, Chase, and then the other guy I'll talk about is Debo.
Yes.
He's my sneakiest.
So, Elijah Mitchell's hurt. They already showed that, this is basically now a must-win game for the 49ers. And they're going to do whatever the hell they can. You want to talk about 40-point upside. I mean, I have
sub 5% ownership.
I'm looking at the ownership here. I'm seeing 7%, and I'm just trying to figure out, just why? I mean, the receiver, it's very interesting. The receiver ownership this week is very, very spread out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anybody on my sheet on my projections right now that are over 20%.
No,
So
I don't either.
I mean, you don't really have to worry about that, but I mean, man, if you can play some of those other cheap running backs and find a way to jam like Chase and Debo into your lineup,
We
man,
saw it last week. I
something
mean,
I really like.
He almost had it 20 touches last week in a super sloppy, slow game. He's for sure going over 20 this week.
Big time.
Dude, there was like 2 plays where they just threw a smoke screen to him, and the entire Steelers defense was on him, and he was able to still get like 7 or 8 yards. Just pure athleticism. I'm better than all of you.
The other thing to keep in mind, with Chase.
Yeah,
the other thing to keep in mind with Debo is like every time they get in the red zone, Debo is the tailback. They don't trust anybody else. So like he's going to get all the red zone touches. That's why like he could score, but I don't like all these people flocking to Jeff Wilson Jr. and stuff. Like, I just tread very lightly there if you're going to do it. I don't trust it at all.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about we didn't really even mention one of the Niners running backs because we all know, and this is why we're talking about Debo right now.
I just have no idea.
Once Eli Mitchell went out, Shanahan's just going to ride with whoever is running the best on that particular day. And it could be Jeff Wilson, or it could be Tyrion Davis-Price, or it could be Jeff Mason. I mean, who the hell knows? But
Trey Lance could get 15 carries.
But we know for a fact that Debo is going to have 20-plus touches in this game, and that's something that I absolutely want to be a part of.
Yep. One guy below that, I think super sneaky on the slate, sub 10% again. I talked about Baltimore that I'm going to have a few shares that I think Tyreek and both him and Waddle are, if you're going to game stack that, I think he could pop. Dude, I think
he's not going to be sub 10%.
Well, what do you have? I have him at 7
I've got
here.
14 to 17% here.
Tyreek?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, then
so I mean, I get the play. I get the play. But
what's Waddle going to play at?
Waddle is the play. He's coming in at 3 to 5%.
There we go. Okay, so that sounds better. I was seeing both under 10, but I still think both are really good plays. I think this Baltimore game has some really sneaky shootout like potential here. Like, Miami's got some weapons, dude, and Baltimore will find their groove. So, yeah, going down. What do we got, Joe?
Cortland Sutton, 6,100. Denver going right back to the well with let's ride. But Cortland Sutton, he got off to a slow start. You know, I mean, there's a little bit of a scariness there with Jerry Jeudy. I mean, Jeudy looked absolutely electric, but so did Sutton. Right?
Can we just pause for a second on how good that Alabama receiving core was with Jeudy, Waddle, Jameson?
Don't forget about Ruggs. Don't forget about the man in prison, Ruggs.
Yeah. He who shall not be named.
He likes to go fast on and off the field.
That team was insane. But okay, keep going.
You know, it's like you got to plant your flag, right? I'm not going to just have Sutton and Jeudy mixed up in all these lineups and picking, you know, and hoping one of them strikes gold. Yeah, I think Sutton is. I just think Sutton's the guy this week. I'm not discounting Jeudy at all. I just have to pick one, right? You can't go with both, and there's like half your lineups are washed because one of them didn't get the target share. So I think Sutton's in a position this week to explode, and definitely he's more the red zone guy than Jeudy, in my opinion. He's got the bigger body, got more experience.
Real quick, I know we passed on it. These guys are at the top. If you can play Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, just lock them into your lineup. Like, I thought that maybe didn't have to be said, but some shithead out there will say, like, you guys didn't talk about them. Like, yes, dude, they're both amazing plays.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to spend our time talking about stuff that's just like not slap me in the face obvious. Like,
I do. I'm going to play Joey's favorite guy this week. I talked about having bits and pieces of that Brady game, but Slant Boy is back.
That guy.
Really?
So that's not my boy.
I know how much you hate him. I think I'm going to just have a lot of shares of Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Russell Gage, and Julio in this game. I'm just going to spray those guys all over my lineups. They're all cheap. They all look good. They're all going to be a part of that offense. I'm not playing Mike Evans this week. Dude, him and Lattimore have like a serious thing going on that I'm just not touching that. Have you seen like all like their like matchups over the years?
Yes.
I'm not playing Mike Evans. So
it's fair enough.
All right,
What
Jim,
about
where you at?
below that, Joe? Where we at in the 4s, or do you have anyone
Oh
else?
well, I got plenty of guys. I got 2 guys up in the 5s that I really like.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I've got both in the same game. Tyler Lockett at 5,600. The Niners corners are just, yikes. I mean,
I think we're gonna see the real Geno this week.
Yeah, but I'll still take a chance on Lockett at 5,600. We talked about Kirk at 57.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna play some of those Lance stacks, and my Lance stacks are gonna be Lance, Debo, and Ayuk this week.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you're gonna do it, you got to go all in with those.
I think
3.
Ayuk's targets in the pass game, right? Debo's going to be the guy on the ground. Ayuk's going to get a ton of targets. He kills over the middle. I think those are the easiest passes for a young quarterback.
Yeah,
I think Lance Ayuk is a huge boom.
They're a very unique receiving pair to stack together because they have value independently. It's not like the Judy in the Sutton thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, hey, like you said, like, hey, I can't be sprinkling these guys in everywhere. Like, I just got to pick one. Well, with Ayuk is a guy that I'm comfortable sprinkling into other lineups for cost savings at 5,100 because of his independent value aside from Debo and the different things that they ask him to do, right?
And don't be turned off if you see by some miracle chance George Kittle's playing Sunday. They're going to need him to stay in and block quite a bit because if that right tackle Mike McGlinchey is about as effective as those boxing dummies you see at Big Five standing there, like he literally cannot pass block. So
he's
don't be too turned off by that. But
anyway. Well, Joe, who do you like down here?
I mean, I got to talk more about Julio. Right, there's certain players when you watch a game that are better than everybody else, and when Julio was running routes and catching the ball, he looked better than everybody else.
Dude, yeah.
Like
didn't practice today, so just
he doesn't ever. I mean,
practice. He's like in year 11, right? I mean,
he hasn't practiced in like 8 years. Dude.
They're saying he's the healthiest he's ever been. He's on the TB12 method with Brady. I mean, he looked electric.
I just don't know if I can get there.
He looked so much faster. I mean, he hasn't looked this fast in 3 or 4 years. So
I think at 5,500,
I just love Julio,
play.
But with no Godwin as well, and Mike Evans matched up with Lattimore, I think Julio just gets a ton of play this week.
And this is not a team that he like hasn't seen. The dude played in the division for freaking 14, 13 years. You know what I mean? Like he knows the Saints defense very well.
So one thing that stuck out to me, I don't know if this is like an error or something, but the projected ownership on Allen Robinson is 16 to 19%.
I saw that too. I will have 0 shares of Allen Robinson.
Why?
Now that's a player when you watched, he looked slow.
Oh,
he did not look game ready, right? Like Julio stepped in and looked game fucking ready.
I will agree with you there, Joey. I don't know if I'll get to the Julio play this week.
I'll play Cam Akers before I play Allen Robinson.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Bold it.
All right, let's go dumpster diving, boys.
So as we're scrolling down,
give me some names.
Man, I think that if you want to go back, if you're playing Wentz stacks, I think Curtis Samuel, who's actually finally fully healthy now, is going to be a fine play. 4,600 is a pretty cheap price for him, and then or if you want to go back to the rookie Jahan Dotson. I think either of those guys are viable in stacks with Wentz and McLaurin.
How much is Dotson?
Dotson's only 4,200.
I mean,
and Curtis Samuel's 46. But like Dotson, if he didn't catch a touchdown, he has like 3 points.
Jim, when you scratched your microphone there, it was like coming down from space.
Oh, so Curtis
scared me.
Curtis Samuel is the one that is getting the majority of the routes and the majority of the targets outside of McLaurin. So just keep that in mind. For an extra $400, I think I would rather just go up and get him.
I think you can play both, and like that's a super. I mean, you're talking about getting your 3 big gun receivers in there or running backs. Like that's a really cheap stack to do it. But okay, keep going. I need help with some of these little guys.
We mentioned Richie James earlier, 3,200. I mean, it's a dirty play that I don't know if I can quite get there. If I think a sneaky play all the way down here that maybe has the most upside. This guy could also get you like 3 points. Is the Rams' third wide receiver, Ben Skronek.
I don't mind that play.
I mean, he's 3,300. If you're trying to jam in a bunch of these like top guys, right, and you won't need like just a cheap guy, I think he's got a higher ceiling than like a Richie James because I think he can actually catch a touchdown.
Dude, I'll play him over Allen Robinson.
Yeah,
at that
all
ownership.
You mean he looks at least like he can move around. Allen Robinson just looks like a fucking stiff. I mean, it's terrible, dude. He looks like he should be in the morgue. But
don't forget about if we hear about Rondale, if he's going to play against the Raiders, I'll have him. If not, it's the Greg Dortch show.
I just want to mention that the Raiders defense only gave up 24 points to Herbert with Carr's 5 turnovers.
Yeah,
I think they actually played really, really well.
I think so too.
In PPR in the 3K range, like if Dortch is going to have like 7 to 10 targets, like dude, you can do way worse than that in the threes.
He's the other guy that presents. You know, I have a Cardinals player that we haven't talked about yet in a different position group that I'm basically all in on. But I mean, yeah, if Rondale's not going to play, Dortch is,
light the torch.
Joey, you got anybody else down here in
the one person area? I just want to mention, and we can brush right by it, but at 4,400 on Donovan Peoples-Jones, he got 11 targets last week, 6 catches for 60 yards. Again, it's not a big upside thing at 4,400, but 11 targets is way too hard to ignore. And he's not going to see the Jets' best corner. The Jets gave up huge plays to a Lamar that can't throw, right? Just throwing it all over the field on them deep because they're going to be trying to stuff the run on Chubb. I can see Donovan Peoples-Jones having one of those games where you go, where the fuck did that come from?
Speaking of another guy, it looks like he belongs in the morgue. Amari Cooper looked terrible on Sunday.
He didn't look great, but I am going to play him again this week. Don't care.
Really? All right.
All right, I'm on Peoples-Jones, just for the record. All right, moving on to tight ends.
Tight ends, let's do it.
I'll lead off. My favorite is Darren Waller. He didn't get the play last week, or he played, obviously. He didn't get the play from Carr because Carr peppered Devontae Adams 17 times, and he noticed that he had 5 turnovers because he was just trying to go to his boy all game. I can see Waller having a huge part of this game against a Cardinals team that does not impress me at all, where Kelsey had a great game last week as well. I think Waller has one of those weeks this week where you go, oh, yeah, that's why he got his contract. And Devontae gets more down in that 12 target range, not 17. I think Waller and Renfrow both get more play this week. I'm still not on Renfrow, but I think Waller definitely steps up.
Vinny?
All right. I mean, obviously, Mark Andrews up top is a great play, but I like Kyle Pitts as my favorite in a bounce back spot here. I talked about how much I like Atlanta this week, which just sounds horrible to say, but I think, dude, Pitts is really freaking good. And he's going to have some smash games here at 5,400. Like, if he's chasing and he can get 8 to 10 targets, like, watch the hell out. So
I'm a little scared because Mariota targeted him 7 times and only connected twice.
That's okay.
Which is not great.
Dude, give him the targets at 5,400. Like, he's going to have some massive plays. So,
I agree.
I'll keep playing him.
So, my 2 guys are going to be I really like Waller this week as well, Joe. Zach Ertz at 4,500 and Albert O, if he can show up to breakfast on time. Hopefully, he doesn't get benched for the first series at 3,700.
I'm terrified of that situation now. They just rotate all 4 tight ends.
I know.
And apparently the coaches were very clear that was their intention. Like, and he didn't even play the first drive.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very disappointing.
He's the guy that I have the least interest in.
And he really didn't look that explosive. He really didn't look that explosive either.
He didn't look that great. But, I mean, I think that the guy that I'm going to probably have in about 80% of lineups is Ertz. It's just the whole thing for years. You're playing the Raiders, you play tight ends, and he's a guy that, especially on DraftKings, it's just PPR. You just, he doesn't have to score a touchdown, but he's probably going to have 8 catches for 85 yards. And then if he scores a touchdown, then you're in business, right? He's not going to hurt you. He's never, unless he gets hurt, he's never going to be one of those guys that gets, 3 for 17 yards, right? So I know we're playing GPPs and stuff like that, but for 4,500, a guy that can pretty easily get you to 20 points, I mean, that's somebody who I want a lot of.
What about the fours?
It is Tyler Higbee at 4,200.
Yeah.
Right? 11 targets last week. Stafford obviously does not trust Allen Robinson. He's going to Kupp, and he's going to Tyler Higbee. There's really no one else to throw to in that offense right now. And his arm is all fucked up. He's going to be looking to throw these shorter routes, tight ends against linebackers, easier passes, hence his 11 targets against the Bills. I don't see any of that changing against the Falcons, and just hopefully he puts one of these in the end zone.
I think he's also just amazing leverage. I don't know what his ownership's coming in at, but I can't imagine it's much. But that's your ownership off of, like, if he jacks a touchdown or two off of, like, Darrell Henderson or Kupp or A-Rob, like, dude, you're in business at that point. I also like Freiermuth, 4,400. Trubisky has trouble throwing the ball more than 9 to 10 yards. So Freiermuth
more like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I like Freiermuth. 4,400.
I
I have one bottom of the barrel. If you guys are done.
Yeah, I've been done.
I'm not done. I have one more that's pretty low.
All right, you go, Joe. There's no way it's lower than mine. So
probably not, but it's Logan Thomas at 3,400 for our beloved potatoes. Everyone was concerned that he wasn't going to play coming off that ACL. I mean, he had 3 catches for 45 yards. He also had 6 targets. Again, if we think this Washington team is going to go off, I'm going to have lineups of Logan Thomas, especially for his red zone threat. Right? He is a beast. He just tore his ACL last year, but apparently he's fully healthy and fully ready to go. You're not going to see him at 3,400 that much longer. He's going to be up with the rest of these starting tight ends in the mid 4K range very soon.
Vinny?
All right. Probably never heard of this guy. You probably never heard of this guy. He's 2,600. Kylan Granson for the Colts. Okay. This guy had 7 targets for the Colts last week, and he's played more snaps than Mo Alley-Cox. Like, he's going to be the starting tight end there very soon because Mo Alley-Cox sucks. We've been hearing about him like taking off for 5 years now. He's not the dude. He outplayed him. 2,600, dude. This guy may get to 0, but I could see this guy popping one in on Sunday. Just write it down. Put him in a lineup. That's bull call number 1.
I mean, he only needs 9 points to get 4K.
Write it down.
I'm likely not going to put him in a lineup.
He's a free square.
It works out well.
This reminds me when Jimmy played Adam Troutman last year at one point.
Yes.
I saw Troutman's name floating in the twos, but Granson's the guy, dude. He had 7 targets last
He's dead.
I wonder how many of those targets were in overtime. I'd really like to see I'd really like to see what happened there.
Please.
I don't have that information, but I'll get back to you.
Was Mo Alley-Cox in the shitter? You know?
He played more snaps than Mo Alley-Cox. Like, come on. Mo Alley-Cox is done. All right, defenses. I'll make it easy. I'm probably playing the Bengals in 95% of my lineups at 2,200.
So the only issue with that, and I'm with you there too, but they're going to be 14 to 16% owned, but I don't even know if I care.
I'm playing Kylan Granson to get off the chalk, so whatever.
But I'll play the Jets at 2,200. I'll play the Dolphins at 23 like I did last week. Any of those Dolphins, Jets, or Bengals, I'll be playing one of those 3, but probably the Bengals and probably 75% of lineups.
Cool.
Joey?
I'm going up for defense this week. I'll find savings elsewhere because I'm getting a little sick and tired of the team that gets 27 points on defense just taking down tournaments. And my team got 2 because I wanted to save some money. So, and it's only about $1,000 different, right? But I just think the 49ers this week against Seattle, I think it's about to be a bloodbath. I think Geno Smith throws multiple interceptions or fumbles. Niners can score a defensive touchdown here. I think it's an absolute shit kicking. 3,900 is too cheap for what the Niners can potentially do.
I like it. All right, it's time. Bold calls of the week.
For the record, Joe, you could have saved money with the Dolphins last week with me and got 18 points.
I had some Dolphins. It just happened to be in all my lineups that sucked.
Oh, that's good.
So that happened.
Well, I can't help you there. Joe, since you almost hit you were the closest, I think, to the bold calls of the week. My two bold calls, Rondale didn't play, and Saquon made me eat a giant shit burger. So,
yep.
Joe?
Yeah, I just want to say that Alec Pierce, 2 balls went off his hand in the end zone.
Dude.
Stop.
When I saw that on Red Zone, I was like, oh my God, was that Pierce?
Dude. Like, I remember just being, that was the start of the day. Like, he dropped a touchdown within the first 5 minutes of Red Zone. And I was like, that's my day. And I lost all my lineups and I knew it. Like, that was the dagger, dude. Like, as soon as Alec Pierce dropped it, I go, my day is over. It's
okay. Please don't make your lineup and day built on Alec Pierce having a good day. Don't do that going forward.
No, I'm going away, but he probably will score 2 this week. But my bold call, if Julio gets 2 touchdowns this week.
I love it.
All right.
Jim.
It's bold.
I'm looking at a couple of different.
I got 3 options. So if you want to throw 2 out there, I can throw.
You go first, and because I don't want to take yours.
All right. I'm going. Chase goes for over 200 receiving.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going. Debo goes over 30 DK points.
Okay.
And then Kylan Granson catches a touchdown at 2,600.
Now,
yeah, I was not thinking of any of those. So that's good. I'm gonna go with Ayuk is gonna go for 100 and a touchdown. And then I'm full fading Najee Harris this week and Leonard Fournette. Those are my kind of bold calls on that side.
With you on Fournette.
And then I will say that, oh man, do I want to say?
Get it. Let's go. Put your nuts on the table and say.
I'll say that Daniel Jones scores over 30 points this week.
Okay. That is way more outrageous than Kylan Granson scoring a touchdown.
No, it's not. Kylan Granson might be selling Ford F-150s next week, Vinny. Okay. Daniel Jones is an established NFL player. Kylan Granson, seriously, Vinny.
Daniel Jones is not an established NFL player. He might be selling F-150. Well, no,
we're talking about a guy that had to deal with McAdoo to start his career.
Exactly. Let's give the guy a little bit of room. He's going to score 30 or more this week, and it's going to be a fucking banger.
I might have to play a Danny Dimes lineup now.
Let's go.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it.
It's happening.
Make Danny Dimes happen.
Joe, do you want to give a plug to your new show coming out here, your new little thing? And I'll make you do this so you commit to it and you actually do it tomorrow.
All right, so I'm going to be doing it tomorrow. I'll be releasing the pod by tomorrow evening, but we're going to be doing my 4X pod. So we're going to go through the players and who actually has a realistic chance of getting a 4X this week based on matchups, based on how good they are, how shitty they are, the situation they're in. But are they a 4X player or are they not? So we're going to be going through each one. If you get 4X with every player in your lineup with a fully salaried lineup, that's a 200-point lineup, should take down some tourneys. So
I like it.
Will Danny Dimes be in it?
Yes.
Yeah, for 4X? Dude, I just need 20 points. I just need 20 points from Danny Dimes.
That's easy.
Right.
That's easy.
Dude, that's going to happen.
I love it.
Danny Dimes might have 20 points by halftime, baby.
Oof. I like that. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. Make sure you tweet us all of your winnings. JJ McIntosh, Vinnie Levine 29, and DFS Joey Levine. It's the bottom of the screen here on YouTube or our Red Zone DFS Twitter account. Make sure you tag us with your winnings. Show off. We'll retweet you. We'll blow you up. Maybe get you some followers as well. All right, guys. Good luck this week.